I'm sure that'll help with the sharks.
Yeah, how good is a flashlight really going to do when you're 47 meters down?
They should have given him a spray bottle, too, so he could treat the sharks like cats. Like, fucking spray the spray bottle. I mean, that's what it felt like.
Maybe a newspaper, too?
Yeah, exactly. Bad shark. Bad shark.
Just like him in the nose.
Yep. Well, so now here's what we find out. Kate's running low on oxygen, and I assume, Vic, I've thought about it for a while. Low on oxygen, and the reason why is because Lisa has bigger lungs than her, and I mean her tits. That's simple. There was innuendo there. For those of you not paying attention at home.
I don't think it's accurate, but we'll go with it.
Well, it is. Anyway. So Lisa, since Kate's running out of oxygen, Lisa, again, Mandy Moore, ooh, I love you, Mandy Moore, decides to go and bring Javier to the cage. She's going to try to help him out here. Well, Lisa swims out to meet Javier, but she's fucking ambushed by a great white shark. And I know it's a great white shark because I've seen fucking many great white sharks in movies and documentaries. And they're pretty obvious, you know what I mean? They just seem to be pretty clearly a great white shark, and they're the badasses of the sharks, let's be honest. I like hammerheads because they look fucking cool. I like tiger sharks just because I like tigers, but a fucking great white is the fucking, King Kong of sharks as far as that goes.
Yeah, they're a killer whale.
Yes. Well, she's able to hide inside a small cavern of rocks. And then she's fucking playing hide and go seek with the shark because the shark's still trying to get her. And the shark eventually leaves. I don't know how accurate that would be in real life, like a shark. I don't know how that works. You know what I mean? Like, are sharks trying to, go after things that are inside little caverns? Who knows? But I enjoyed the tension of it there for a while. Eventually it leaves, and Lisa continues swimming towards the flashlight. She reaches a drop-off point, which, by the way, is fucking terrifying to me. Fucking terrifying, especially the first time I saw it. Where you've got the ocean just continuing heading down, and there's no fucking bottom to it. Yeah. That is a bottomless pit. That reminds me of, remember Golden Child, Vic?
Oh, yes.
And Eddie Murphy's walking on those things, and he drops the penny or whatever, and there's no fucking sound because there's no fucking bottom. That's what it is here. She should have been like, I want the knife. Anyway, so she keeps going out towards the flashlight, even though she can't see shit below her, which, again, I can't. I have a lot of issues with how dark this movie is, but this scene, as far as darkness, is effective. I always bitch about that with movies, how dark they are, and it's not scary. But in this scene, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Although, truthfully, I think a lot of the movie, they're just trying to save money. But, that's just my opinion. So she eventually reaches the flashlight, but she doesn't see Javier. And Javier appears out of nowhere, but suddenly he's fucking attacked by the shark and killed. Really don't see it, do you?
No, you don't.
Not a lot of explicit gore here. It's kind of implied. A lot of the gore is implied in this movie, I'll say. There are some moments that we get some things, but overall, until one specific scene later on, there's not a lot to, hang your gory hat on. But we'll get to those moments later. So Lisa swims away because the Mexican's fucking dead, and, nobody else is going to go down there. Fuck them. If the Mexican's dead and the two chicks are dumb, they're screwed.
Pretty much.
She finds part of Javier's body and finds that he's carrying the cable that was going to be attached to the cage. And Lisa takes the cable back and attaches it to the top of the cage herself. And then she swims up and tells Taylor, again, not actually getting physically above the water, she's telling him on the radio that, that she attached the cable to the cage and the Javier was killed. And, he tells her to get back to the cage. That's pretty much Taylor's whole thing. Get in the fucking cage. Get in the fucking cage. If they didn't have oxygen issues, the cage would have been just fine all along, But you got the oxygen issues working against you here. And it feels like, how long were they knocked out whenever they fucking dropped? Because their oxygen went away quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, they had to be out for a while.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a vicious drop to drop 150 feet. I mean, I know there's water kind of like slowing it down, but still, that's a bitch. And it's a rinkety-ass cage.
Yeah.
All right, so Lisa, she goes back into the cage, and Taylor begins raising them to the surface. And they get about 20 meters from the surface when the steel cable frays, of course, because this shit's like fucking, what's the Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it is. And then, it snaps, and it sends the cage right back to the ocean floor. I assume we're still at 47 meters down. And so when the cage lands, it fucking, and again, this is not explicit, but it is explicit enough to be effective. It pins Lisa's leg, like trapping her. And that is, I don't know what it is about that, but that is just disturbing to me. I know it is to you, too.
The whole fear of being trapped thing. Now you see that ocean is underneath this big, rusty shark cage. Man, yeah, it's just horrible.
So, now Kate's noticing, obviously, she's running low on air in her tank. So Kate swims back up to let Taylor know. He tells her he's going to send another oxygen tank down to them. He also warns Kate, and this is important, that their risk of experiencing nitrogen narcosis will be much higher once they use the second tank of oxygen. Hey, what's up, Blake?
Hey, I wasn't going to say anything until there was time to come in. I'm so sorry I'm running late, gentlemen, but I just came in the nick of time. Sounds like you're getting to the part where they're experiencing the nitrogen deprivation. They're going to start hallucinating.
Or perhaps they will. They told them to watch each other closely for hallucinations, and I have to tell you, I did pay attention to this part, and so I'm looking for them to show obvious signs of hallucinating. And this is where we'll get back to this later. Not to spoil it, but that's pretty much what we do with these fucking movies. So, Kate sees the tank coming down, and she goes out to get it. And a bag's attached to the tank with some flares. So Kate gets to the tank, and she's coming back to the cage when she spots a shark. And I don't know if it's the same shark or not that was fucking people up, but it is a shark, and, she hides by some rocks. She waits for it to leave. It swims by her, but, because it's so fucking dark in the water, Kate and Lisa lose sight of it. And again, back to the point of this movie, I know it's supposed to be dark, but at the same time, can't see shit, people. It's a little bit annoying. Just saying. It's, like I said, modern horror movies with their fucking darkness. It kills me. But anyway, so they assume it's gone now. So Kate decides to make a break for the cage. And as soon as she does, the shark appears, and it fucking attacks her. And she drops the tank, which lands near the cage. So now Lisa, she's fucking crying for her sister, assuming her sister's dead. So a little while later, her oxygen monitor starts beeping, and, telling her that it's fucking running out of air. So she sees the tank near the cage, but since her fucking leg's pinned down, she can't reach for it, which sucks. You want to talk about a fucking horrible situation. You know what that's like, Vic? It's like in Mario where they put, like, fucking coins in places that if you get it, you're just going to die.
Oh, my God.
It's not fair. It's not fair. It pisses me off, dickheads. Nintendo knows how to take advantage of your greed. That's all I'm saying. In this movie, it's kind of a similar deal, although it's not greed. It's just trying to get the fuck out. So, anyway, she can't reach it. She sees a spear gun, which was also attached to the tank, and she reaches for it. But again, Murphy's Law kicks in again because the trigger rubs up against a part of the cage and accidentally shoots her in the fucking hand. And you got blood flying out over there. I felt this one, I have to say. I mean, how many times have we done something stupid like that where you're just reaching for something, trying to grab it, and you fuck yourself over somehow? Once upon a time, I stayed at this chick's house. I had a razor, like in a backpack that I kept with me. I don't mean like an actual, like, straight razor. I mean like a shaving razor. And it didn't have any kind of top on it, to cover up the blade. And I reached in the bag, and I just fucking gashed my thumb. So it happens. You know what I mean? It's not. I think a lot of people who are douchebags probably watch this movie and say, she's fucking stupid. No, trust me. Shit like that happens.
No, and hand and leg wounds, much like head wounds, bleed like a son of a bitch.
They sure do. Because you're moving there the most. It pumps out that blood.
Yeah, man, and of course that's shark happiness there. That's shark ecstasy. They feed on that. They can smell blood in the water. They know it's there. So bad idea.
Blake, question for you: would you go down in a shark cage?
Are you being? Is this a serious question?
No, it's a serious question because Vic said no. I said yes until I saw this movie, and then I'm not so sure. It's not the sharks I'm scared of.
I wouldn't go down because my wife has actually had close encounters with a bull shark that was in some water, and she's very young, and she freaked me out enough with that story to warrant me never going into a shark cage. But I'll tell you what I will do: I'll hop my happy ass in a cage with the diving stuff on and take a trip to the bottom of Loch Ness. I'll damn sure do that. But no, not the damn ocean with the sharks. Fuck that shit.
I think I'm scared of the ocean, but not so much the shark. I know that makes no sense, but to me it makes sense.
Well, it does make sense. I mean, up to a certain point where the Titanic is sitting right now, there's 6,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. And,
exactly.
If the animals don't get you, nature, as far as the, laws of nature and physics will get you, because people are not supposed to be under the water.
Yep. By the way, I have to say, Lisa's screams in pain here, they're pretty fucking genuine. She did a good job here. She starts looking at her wound, and it's like fucking nasty. So she uses a spear gun to try to reach the oxygen tank now. So eventually, she's able to get to it. She changes oxygen tanks. And remember what they said about changing oxygen tanks, but we'll get there. And it gives her more air. And, she begins hearing a voice on the radio and discovers it's Kate. And she's still alive. So she survived her shark attack. And, at the first time I watched this, I was like, this is really shitty fucking acting, the way Kate's talking. You know what I mean? Like, the things she's saying, I'm like, this is terrible. This is terrible. The way she's talking is just it. But there's a reason for that I'd like to speculate. We'll get back to that. Lisa decides she's going to use her scuba gear to lift the cage, getting her free. And she does. And I have to tell you, this part is, even though, again, it's not that gory, it's just mainly blood, I feel every bit of fucking pain she's in. We were talking about earlier, Blake, how just disgusted we are by her leg being trapped. And her getting the leg out, I mean, you got to assume that it's pretty much degloved part of her leg.
Yeah.
Again, more implied gore, but sometimes that works just as well as seeing it. And this is one of those moments. We're gore hounds here, but we can defend things when they're properly done, and this was properly done, I felt like. So she swims out of the cage. She finds Kate with a very bloody fucking wound on her leg. And they talk to Taylor and tell him that they're going to try to swim to the top. And, of course, he warns them. What do they call it? What do they call it? It's where you get oxygen bubbles in your brain. He had a term for it. I can't remember the term. Do you guys remember?
What is it now? What?
The bins? Isn't that it?
Yeah, it's called the bins.
Yeah. They said, he was like, be careful. You can't, you got to be careful when you go up because you'll get oxygen bubbles in your brain. And, yeah, it's the bins. That's what they call it. So they have to, move up slowly, which sucks when there's a bunch of fucking sharks around and you're running out of oxygen. So, he says, don't go too fast or you're going to fucking die. So they use the flares to kind of ward off the sharks, which works. And, as they're about halfway, they have to stop to kind of decompress for 5 minutes. And again, this is another one of those tense scenes because these fucking sharks are everywhere. And they can't go up too fast or they're going to fucking die. And kind of in a sick way, I would assume, because that decompression shit sounds horrible. Well, anyway, as the flare burns out, Kate grabs another one but drops it. I would imagine so after being fucking shark bitten. Anyway, so Lisa grabs the last flare and she lights it, and you got 4 or 5 sharks circling them. They continue to fend off the sharks with the flare. When they get to the top, they swim to the boat, and you've got Taylor, Luis, and Benjamin begin to help them back into the boat. And, suddenly Lisa's grabbed by a shark, and it fucking grabs her right on the leg, and this shit's nasty, I have to say. Probably the nastiest part of the movie that you actually see. Yes? No? Maybe?
Yeah. Pretty nasty.